Welcome to the stream. We got nWay in the building for a special episode of Power Rangers Academia. What is going on, fellas? Do a quick mic check just to make sure I can hear you guys. Let's see, because I'm not here. Oh, no.
Hello, hello.
Okay, there goes Brian. What about Kian? Kian, you're muted on the Google.
You're muted. Mute yourself.
Yeah, look. I see your mute function. There it goes.
It's morphin time. There we go.
There it is.
I had unmuted everything except for the actual thing we needed. So.
All good. All good. So, guys, how are you feeling today? Happy birthday to us, realistically, right? We know. Between you guys and the community, you know, this has been a pretty dope last 2 years to start. A pretty epic one, I would say, for sure.
More phenomenal, even.
Oh, okay. So we're going that route. All right. So more phenomenal. I'll accept that as a valid response here.
Gotta keep it on brand.
Gotta keep it on brand. All right. I respect that. So, just to run it through to you guys that are watching the chat again. Thank you everyone that's tuning in right now. This is a very special edition of Power Rangers Academia. Like I mentioned, that of course is featuring my boy Kian Rice and Mr. Brian. You might know him beating you up in other games, but he's been a developer on Legacy Wars, Battle for the Grid. So we got some very special guests, as I said, and we're gonna be asking some questions, getting some answers, playing some Jeopardy later on, and let me actually show the stream. There is a lobby. And there it is. You guys can actually start playing with Abik right now. Okay, he's gonna be in there. Okay, now the special password for this stream, for the special nWay Power Rangers Academia edition, is 4747. All right. So if you wanna try to play against Mr. Abik right now, then please go ahead and join up while we get some questions answered. So this is of course the second year anniversary of Power Rangers Battle for the Grid. It's been, like I said, a really awesome last 2 years. We're gonna pretty much reflect and look back to, you know, the last 2 years, obviously. So whoever wants to answer, I don't know if Brian, if you're able to answer questions while you play, but
I will when I try. I will whenever I can. Although beating me isn't too hard, considering I focus more on shenanigans and mix than actual combos. So maybe if I'm caught up in a 5-minute long Anubis combo, I might be able to say something.
Okay.
And I'm just really bad at the game, so I'm not even gonna bother playing. So I'm here to answer any questions you got.
All right.
Where I can.
Well, yes, that is naturally the case. Okay, so as far as the questions go, so let's start things off here. So let's go down memory lane. How did the game come to be? You know, what were some of the ideas that were brought to the table, and some process behind the game? If you can elaborate on some of those things.
Yeah, it's funny. Brian and I heard a pretty funny story last night from nWay's CEO about how we kind of came up with the decision to make a console game. I don't think we're going to share it here on the stream. It's a bit like too behind the curtain. But I think like the general idea was, can we take the sort of concept and that Legacy Wars brought to mobile, which is this like fighting game based around Power Rangers, a game that seems ripe for fighting and is already showing some success on mobile. Like, we bring that to the console player base. So it was pretty much, you know, originally I think there was a title like Super Legacy Wars being thrown around, like basically like, let's just take this mobile game and like upscale it. And I think it just kind of evolved from there into a more traditional sort of 3v3 tag fighter. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty simple story, honestly, but Power Rangers is a franchise that lends itself well to fighting games, you know, much like Dragon Ball Z or Marvel or what have you. So it was kind of a natural fit there. Ryan.
in the early days of Legacy Wars development, full 3v3 tagging what was a feature at some point, but it kind of had to be scaled back for scope and complexity reasons. So it kind of only became natural that, hey, if we're gonna kind of consoleize this concept, it's gonna be a full 3v3 thing, like it was originally envisioned from the beginning, sort of.
So, okay, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, it kind of comes full circle in a way, with the release of Alpha Grid. So.
Okay. So at any point in time, now this is like kind of like, I guess, an added on question. Like, was it always conceptualized to always be a 3v3, or was it ever like was it ever discussed to just maybe be a one-on-one, like a more traditional fighter?
That's a great question. I know that a big part of the 3v3 was kind of pulling from that Legacy Wars lineage, but also because our combat designers, Shady K and Clockwork, they were Marvel vs. Capcom players, so they kind of had a lot of experience with like tagged systems, and that kind of comes through in the gameplay.
Okay.
I don't know if Brian has anything to add to that, but that's kind of what I've been told. Obviously, for those of you on the stream who don't know me, I'm kind of new here. I've only been here like 5 or 6 months now, so only been along part of the ride.
All I have to say is that I blocked a hard to blockable just now, so I'm feeling pretty good.
That's what's up. Okay. All right. So far, I mean, that's some really cool insight to know about. Where the game came from, stemmed from. And speaking of which, I mean, we've in our 2 years being around, I feel like we have definitely made our presence aware. So I wanted to also ask, like, if we could run down some of the history of the game thus far, maybe highlight, some of the community events and side events that were held at certain majors, other locations, things of this nature.
Yeah, I mean, a lot has happened, right? Obviously, in the past year, we've kind of had the week happen, right? Right before COVID, kicked Frosty Faustings. In more recent memory, I think Brian was at Frosty Faustings as well.
I was too.
With Rose. Yeah, Uchi, you were there. You were commentating. It was great, from what I hear. I mean, you were great this year.
Thank you.
But we've had lots of little virtual league events sanctioned by our Power Rangers Battle for the Grid League. Uchi, I believe you've run some events. We've got sort of in the European side of things, we've got technical footsies happening. We've got all these cool events. There's been the times at Evo that maybe Brian wants to talk about. There's been a lot going on. I've watched from the sidelines and I've come in and I've just been amazed by how this community has grown and stuck with the game. But for me, I've been at Frosty Faustings online this year, which was great to see.
When I went to Frosty Faustings, I had only been with nWay for about 2 or 3 months, and by that point, I wasn't exactly public with the fact that I was working with the company, and I was talking with Rose, community manager. I'm just like, can I please enter the tournament? Please, nobody's even gonna know.
I was there. Can't
please.
confirm.
Man, and because that was when like I was doing all kinds of tag shenanigans and setups that most people weren't doing, and that was like really carrying me hard. One of the things I often do with games is I kind of pick up on a few things really early that don't get picked up on until a bit later, and then sooner or later, other people learn him, and then they learn the game for real, and then I just can't keep up with the meta. But I'm like, but this is my time, right? The game isn't super old yet. I know all the stupid stuff nobody else is doing. If I'm gonna win a tournament, this will be the tournament to win. Never got my chance. Y'all are lucky.
Yeah,
I didn't get to enter that tournament.
it's so funny he's saying all this because literally I remember seeing him around after that Frosty last year. I'm like, what's he doing here? Man, there's no Naruto setups. It's not beating me up with Akamaru and Kiba no more. What is this? And my man out here showing up with his morpher and everything. Like, and I didn't even know. I also learned that day that he was a part of nWay, and I was like, really? Well, it would make sense why he loves Legacy Wars so much, because I already knew, because I remember seeing him talk about how much he loved Legacy Wars is such a great game, and boom, it all it all came together and made sense in the end.
Place. Nice. But yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of events at the top throughout the 2 years. Vanguard happened, Extra Life last year. I think it is interesting, right? Because this game's been out for 2 years, but the whole year of that has been COVID. And I think that maybe made things really weird for a lot of people, right? Like there was these plans for all the tournament stops in person, and they just didn't get to happen in the way that maybe it was originally envisioned. But, a lot has happened.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what's next as well. So.
Oh, that's a key word, man, that you said there. But yes, I'm definitely looking forward to it as well. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I know the people in charge of the league are already talking about some exciting events. So we'll see what happens.
Okay. All right. So I mean, touching a little bit on like the future, like where would you see us in 2 years? Because we're celebrating 2-year happy birthdays, and 2 years from now, I mean, we heard our man Dan Salwer said, hope to see another healthy 2 years. Like where would you see us in 2 years?
Brian, let's just say you personally, as a person, where would you hope to see Battle for the Grid?
What are you putting me on the spot for? Are you kidding me?
I have some thoughts, but I want to hear from you while you're fighting. What are your thoughts?
I'm currently waiting for my hang on. I'm about to get up and lose to Chimera again. But I don't know. There's a whole lot of places Battle for the Grid could go. In 2 more years. I mean what? Like the easy answer. There it is. The easy answer would just be, I mean, maybe some more characters, right? Because the game launched with what, 12 characters, or it was like 9, and then the 3 after that, and we've like doubled that now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, more characters is always fun. All right, he's about to get beaten again, so I'll take over. Yeah,
I don't know. Do you want me to give some like super ridiculous pie in the sky things, like, oh, let's have Battle for the Grid VR. Let's have Battle for the Grid with brand new graphics for PlayStation 5. Let's have Battle for the Grid crossover with Kamen Rider. I don't know, like. What do you want me to say?
Be careful with what you say.
What? What?
No. Yeah, that's the kind of thing, right? Like, it's like there's this pie in the sky ideals that we'd love to see. Like, I mean, more characters is always like a fun thing and an expected thing to some degree, right? Like, people are always like, Legacy Wars gets a character every month, whereas the new Power Rangers Battle for the Grid characters, I see all the comments even this past week, like, who's next? Come on, an announcement, please. So I think more characters, like building out that roster even further over the next 2 years is great. I'd love to see some like crossovers with other 90s Saban properties. I'm Irish, if my weird name Cian, spelled C-I-A-N, didn't give that away. So I'd love to see some like Mystic Knights of Tyrannodome get in there.
Wow. Wow. Mystic Knights. Okay.
It's never gonna happen, right? But like if it was just me as an individual being like, I want to see some wild crossover characters come in there. I'd love to see some of that. Like, I'd love to see like more single player content, right? Like, I think we have a great story mode, but if there was an opportunity to kind of add in some more features for players at home who are maybe as into like the competitive multiplayer scene or online, or maybe don't have a lot of friends nearby that they can play, like couch versus, like we're in COVID right now. I don't have a lot of fighting game friends in the area. So like more features to kind of play offline, that'd be kind of amazing to see.
Man, to know a note about like, man, why does Legacy Wars keep getting all these characters? We gotta wait forever for a new Battle for the Grid character. Dude, how many moves does a Legacy Wars character have, and how many moves does a Battle for the Grid character have? Just do a little bit of math there, and
quick math.
Get back to us.
Yeah, so a lot of work goes into like both games and the characters being made there, but they're very different needs, and there's very different amount of work that goes into them. So obviously, like Legacy Wars, they have a more limited moveset relative to Battle for the Grid. It's a different sandbox we're playing in. So yeah, more characters, I think, is the answer we're both giving. But then for me, like a lot more single player content, especially as someone who like plays a lot of single player games. Like it would be great if we could get in like some Dragon Ball Fighter style like weird story mode where you're like traversing a map. Or I was a big fan of the dungeon mode in Soul Calibur 2. Like the weird Brian's cringing. The weird RTS of Soul Calibur 3. So it would be cool to see some like weird single player content like that.
Okay.
Mystic Knight's Eternal No, guys. The man did say it. Yep, I said it. I'm just reading the chat here.
I want my dream feature, jukebox mode, customizable music on every stage.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool as well.
Well, I'll
Not
say
up to me, but I would love it.
I will say this on the topic of, I mean, you said Mystic Knights. We're talking like other Saban type properties. I mean, listen. I've said this a million times on my stream. I've said it so many times in the Discord. There are some easy ones to add in there. You could literally just look at episode Forever Red, a very favorite episode. You guys have talked about it in the game. You could literally put 2 Beetleborgs because they were villains. Boom, it's easy.
The black Beetleborg.
The black and the green one.
I mean,
right?
Nothing's ever as easy as it seems, is what I would say.
Why limit ourselves with Saban? I mean, Power Rangers is Hasbro now, right?
I mean, listen,
too.
if you put Optimus Prime as a Zord Ultra, I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm just, like, I'm not complaining. I know Hasbro got a lot of things. They do own a lot of other things, for sure.
They're on to us. Get the president on the phone.
Which is why I was also going to throw out, like, maybe, like, a gem-style system or a card system. Because, Magic the Gathering, Wizards of the Coast, part of Hasbro. But there's a lot of things we'd love to see, right? I think I'd love to see single-player content, like I said, more characters. Yeah, there's so much possibility. There's a huge sandbox we could play in another 2 years.
I mean, that's a great segue because like you bringing up like single player modes and whatnot, and like that's actually really cool. I would definitely be down to see some things like that. So this kind of plays into like a part of my next question with like some of the things that you wish were in the game, like and you already kind of answered that, saying like you wish like there could be some more single player action. I mean, could it even be possible to see similar to how like Tekken has their like almost like a beat 'em up kind of mode. Imagine if we had that for Battle for the Grid. Is that like kind of like a beat 'em up style? Like is that something that we could wish for, or something that you would agree with wishing for, or something like that? If it's even in the realm of possibility, because we're just
Yeah, I mean, I think
you can wish for anything you want.
That's kind of what I would say, right? Like, I mean, if we're talking pie in the sky, just like in a vacuum, right? Like, I think it's important to remember, like, we're a small studio. We are not a Capcom. We are not an SNK. We are not. Does Sega even still have a team making fighting games? I don't know. We're not a Soul Calibur, like Project Soul studio working on like a Tekken game. We're not an ArcSys. We don't have the amount of people, right? So we try to focus in on things we can do that we're good at. So any ideas we wish were in the game in the next 2 years are already there. Like we always have to kind of realistically think about like what are we able to do well with the team we have at the size we have without like overworking everyone versus infinite resources. So like if we talked about like things we wish were in the game already, I think we're talking through it like in a, if we just had infinite resources, right? Like for me, I would definitely like to see a lot more characters from the start because Power Rangers has so many, right?
There's something that you don't need a lot of resources to add. Add more infinites. We need more infinites.
So Brian has just put a line in the sand there. If you don't like infinites,
nope, need more infinites.
But like you asked, like a beat 'em up mode, would that be something that could make sense? I think that would be a cool feature. Like I think that's one of the things that like Namco Bandai do really well with their like 3D fighters. Is like all these extra features. But I don't know if realistically if that's something that could have happened or would happen, because again, we're here to make a PvP fighting game. We do have a lot of multiplayer focus at nWay, right? In a single player beat 'em up mode, that might be too far down outside the realm of possibility. But I personally think it would be pretty cool. I love that sort of mode in Tekken 5, especially where I think the data is like Jin and you're like beating dudes up, kind of like Death by Degrees, but built into Tekken 5. Rather than a standalone game as Nina.
My man out here name dropping Death by Degrees. What are you talking about?
Death by Degrees was a Tekken spin-off.
I know Nina. What it is.
No, for our audience.
I'm just saying why.
For our audience who's forgotten that, gem. Yeah, no, I mean, for me, like, I think, like, I would love to see, there's some, like, seasons that I think, like, the fans are, like, very vocal, like, about wanting to see, and that, like, I wish we had in the game already, or that, we could have represented, like, maybe more Megazords, maybe more stage. Like, there's lots of things we'd love to see, but we always have to think about, again, realistically, the resources we have, et cetera, et cetera. And I think for, like, the team we have, what we've been able to do so far is really impressive, and, like, the game has come so far since launch, right? I mean, I got this game at launch. I was a fan. I think I was working at EA at the time, so like I was out here talking about FIFA Ultimate Team day in, day out, Star Wars, Galaxy of Heroes, The Sims, and stuff. And here I am going home and playing a 3v3 Power Rangers fighting game, and it has just like Lord Draken, like Ranger Slayer, like Tommy and Jason, and then like a couple other characters. I can't even remember who the original 9 were before the DLC anymore. Maybe Mastodon Sentry, a couple others.
You're naming them right so far, actually. So you're doing pretty
I'm
good.
impressed with myself doing this so far. Goldar, and then what was it, Gia? From,
Yeah.
So the game has come so far since we've got all these characters. I think even just like the special effects in the game are better. I think the Zord system's way cooler now.
I think a really good sign is that as time has gone on, when it comes to like balance adjustments and tweaks to existing characters, historically, the amount of we've reached a point where the list of bug fixes and the list of changes per character is getting shorter with each patch note.
That's good.
Which means that like we've finally like reached some kind of like good place for the game to be in, can start like really hitting its stride, instead of the early days when suddenly it's like, okay, fix these bugs and then fix even more, balance changes, suddenly Gia is an entirely different character now. But now like the glue has settled, the game's hitting its stride, and it's all upward from here, I think.
Good. That's great to know. Okay. All right. So speaking of this upward mobility, as far as the game is concerned, and obviously we've already discussed like some of the things that we would love to see. Obviously some pretty obvious directions that we might go in as far as what's to come in the future for the next 2 years per se. Like what would you think the best things of this game are?
I'm gonna let Brian tag in after me because he's getting beat up pretty badly.
I'm not getting beat up yet. Not yet.
Um,
My turn yet. Soon.
I actually, my monitor's too small, so I'm just assuming Brian is always getting beat up when I play.
No. I'm letting people take a turn because I like to maintain a healthy heart.
Yeah. I'll still go first. For me, like honestly, like I'm a community manager, right? I work on games like FIFA, and one of the things about working on a game like FIFA is the community can be very negative. It can be very temperamental. Like there's a lot of passionate players. I don't want to discredit that. I don't want to like dump on the FIFA community, but it's big. It's a big corporate AAA game, right? nWay is a much smaller team, and it has a much stronger, closer knit relationship with its community. And like we want to be able to just casually do something like this at EA, and seeing that the community responds well to things like this and is so passionate, and I think so responsive to what nWay does, and like not afraid to let itself be heard in both the good and the bad ways. I think that's something that I really love seeing about this game, because the community is kind of what's kept things going, and I think it's really let the game to continue to prosper and grow. Like I think if the community hadn't responded to the game at launch, we might not be here talking about year 2, and like we're so excited for what the future might hold, and getting birthday shout outs from Kyle Hebert and Dan Southworth and Sabrina Liu and all that. So that's a big thing for me. I just also do love that we have Virgil Ranger in the game. I mean Quantum Ranger, sorry. So I was a big fan of the Quantum Ranger in the show, so it's kind of cool to see him join.
Oh yeah, who wasn't, man? Who wasn't? That's a legend right there.
Yeah, that trailer, really good.
Honestly, I will say this personally. I really, out of all the other characters that have come after Eric Myers, even though you guys have been doing a fantastic job on those characters and all the trailers reveals everything, his trailer has not been topped. His trailer is undefeated because of what he says. foolish Lord Zay. Like that line just takes the cake right there. I love it. I love it. All right, so let's see. So we go over that, and I think we'll just.
Aren't you gonna let me answer?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
go
we
ahead.
gotta let Brian.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would say that the main strength of this game is that it rewards system mastery rather than memorization or having an understanding of like a bazillion different scenarios, which allows you to be expressive and creative in ways that a lot of modern fighting games don't let you be. So because it rewards system mastery, what I mean by that is instead of knowing all of these situations, you need to have an understanding of the way that the game functions.
Right.
So pretty much every time in a high-level match, you're going to, whether you're playing or spectating, you're going to come across a situation that you probably haven't seen quite before, and
Right.
and whoever has a better understanding of the game's systems is going to come out on top. They're going to know how that exchange is going to play out. They're going to know what's going to come after that. And unlike a lot of other tag fighters where you need to be able to, hey, you need to touch somebody and kill them. This game isn't quite the same way. While it obviously helps a heck of a lot being able to touch somebody and kill them, as long as you're able to do, like, touch them and do 50%, having strong system mastery can just let you hit them as they're getting up with some stupid BS. Like you can really go with the flow in a lot of ways that most games just don't let you do. And I think that's the main strength. It makes it easier to get into. If you're coming from a place of, maybe not so much if you're coming from a place of never having played a fighting game before, but if you're coming from a place of playing lots of fighting games, like you're fighting game literate, it makes it easy to learn. The on-ramp is pretty smooth.
Yeah, and just piggybacking off of that really quickly. We also, like, if you think about like traditional fighting game, like inputs, like quarter circles and all sorts of the 360-degree motions of a joystick. For some people, especially myself, I've had some hand issues in the past that made like inputs pretty difficult for me physically. The simplified inputs of just kind of like pressing a direction and the button you need to do at the same time has helped immensely, because again, it ties into just knowing more how the game works and memorizing these input sequences. You know, when I have played with friends who aren't like gamers, even they're not even that they're fighting game literate, they're just not game literate. It just makes it so much easier for them to just like do cool things on screen, right? Like they just kind of press a button and suddenly they hear like Jason go Tyrannosaurus, and they do this cool move. Whereas we might be playing like Street Fighter or Dragon Ball Fighters, and they'll be like, wait, how did you just do like a Kamehameha with Gohan that also has like Goku and Goten showing up, and like how did you do all this stuff? Whereas in Battle for the Grid, they can easily do it, even if they don't know how to play fighting games or games in general, because it's just so much easier. And I think that's really useful in getting like more casual players in, and like Brian said, kind of letting them learn a bit more. So
That being said, there is a huge difference between the barrier to enjoying the content of the game and the barrier toward like really playing it.
for sure. It's not like, right, like
That's still there. That's still there.
Yeah.
But at the very least, if you don't care to get super competitive about it, you can see the characters do all their cool moves, which for a lot of people, that's really all you want. You just want to pick a character and do some cool moves. If you can't do the cool move, why are you even playing the game? And maybe you like the cool move so much you will learn to go that extra mile.
Yeah, we did make Guilty Gear, Power Rangers, X-Sword, Stride, Tilda. So, yeah, I really like that it has like a high skill ceiling, but like a pretty low floor for people to just like get in, try things, make cool stuff happen on screen.
That's what's up. I definitely like those answers. That's really good. Yeah, I definitely have to agree. Being a scrub myself, all right, I definitely am still enjoying the game as much as I have been, and I love exploring some of the characters that they look interesting to me. And one of my own like little things that I like to do with most of the fighting games that I play is I like to really give a lot of the characters a chance to really explore like the time and the the effort and the resources put into said characters, and like really kind of like expand your palette, I guess, in that sense. Like I normally play all the new characters when they first initially drop. So like when Zed first came out after that Evo announcement, I was all over Lord Zed. But then the second my man Shadow Ranger came out, Zed was out of there, and Anubis Kruger took the spot. Okay, but now we're in the second year, and we got 3 season passes, and I'm now revisiting Lord Zed again, just because we got players like Jackal and Fear Chimera and my man Technique that are all doing craziness with Lord Zed, things that were not being done, and even back then. And of course we gotta shout out my boy Star Rich, because Star Rich is almost the person who almost innovated the character to make people even want to pick him up in the first place. And
My man invented Zed.
yes. So yes, he is definitely the OG, and I bring this up just because it just goes to show, like, as time progresses, our roster is at like 21, I think, right now, and a lot of even the starting characters that are maybe not as new as some of the other ones now. Like, there's just so much to explore, and other different combinations, messing with the Zord options. Like, I see a lot more people are now picking up Samurai Zord, and I'm just like, oh, okay, now I'm a little afraid,
Tacos of death. Those killer tacos.
Oh man, there's another strength to this game that I hadn't even properly processed, because like ever since I just like threw Tekken in the dumpster in favor of playing Tough Love Arena all night, I just totally forgot this game has playable online that just works.
Yeah.
You can play online with people, and it's not the worst thing in the world. Man,
That is another thing. Yep.
that sure is a good thing for a fighting game to have, isn't it?
Yeah,
I
Being able to play it.
I visited my parents. I did like a road trip with my puppy and like quarantined for a bit, and I visited my parents for a couple months back in the fall, and they have terrible internet, and I tried. I mean, even if you have good internet, right? Like some other fighting games, they're not the best to play online, but just being able to play Battle for the Grid in my Gold 2 terribleness, it's nice, right? Especially with COVID, because I can't just go and like go to a barcade or go to my local arcade or game store and play a match with people in person. I mean, I could because I'm in Florida and anything goes, but like for my own safety, I can't really do that right now.
Oh yeah, Florida is the PvP active zone
Yeah.
of the server.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, hey guys, I appreciate y'all answering my questions I had for you guys. Now, I did obviously want to give some time to the chat. Now guys, remember, and this is to the chat, okay? Just be mindful of what you're gonna ask, and obviously they're gonna pick what they want to answer, but those were my questions, so now I'm leaving it up to you guys before we transition into some Jeopardy, okay, which I will of course be bringing along Mega Isaac and Technique to face off against nWay in a Jeopardy head-to-head, which is also where we will be giving some codes away to some lucky winners on the PlayStation, okay?
And if I see questions I don't like, I will toss your salad.
Oh, TJ. Oh my goodness.
All right. What was my ethos with the content creator program? What sort of creators are you hoping to get for it? That's a great question. So I think the big thing is there's a lot of people out there who don't know about the game, and we want to get more people aware of it. And there's a lot of people creating awesome videos that just need a bigger platform for people to see it. And also, there are people creating similar content that might like our game and might bring in a new audience to grow our community, to get more people in the Discord, to get people watching more of these streams with Uchi. So the ethos was about growing the community and bringing in creators who could grow that community in interesting ways, while also reinforcing like people that we see creating great content already. We're trying to get like a wide range of creators, and I know this is like such a cop out answer way, but like we want to get creators who are making like really polished, nice like combo videos. Like if you're doing really good combo work, you're showing some great roots on video. Like we want to see those. We want to see players guides. So like if you make really good like how to play Lauren Shiva videos, like that's something of interest to us. If you're just like a newbie at fighting games, but you've got like a really great audience who's really into what you do and you have great personality on stream, and you're like chronicling your journey, getting better about the grid, that's something of interest to us. We're looking for a bunch of stuff. It's what you can bring to the table. I think we're open to pretty much anything. Like we're really just gonna do like a hard no if you're like posting really inappropriate content, you're saying some really offensive things, you're like always picking fights. So I don't know if that answers your question fully technically, Footsies, but that's kind of the ethos and kind of what we're looking to get. It's a little bit of everything. So yeah, let's see what other.
That was a good first question though. Shout out to Footsies. I know it's
first
late.
Yeah, I mean, my family's in Europe. I lived in Ireland for a year. I'm from Ireland, right? So I mean, if you're actually in Europe, like it's at least what 2 a.m. right now. Is it Kian like Cyan? No, it's Kian like a key in. Cyan is not how do you say my name? Irish is a weird language. The league deadline. I don't really have any answers for you there. I know people are looking for this stuff. I think we're gonna start getting some more information in the coming months about when the league will wrap up, how that will happen. But we're not really able to give any info there. I don't make a lot of the league decisions. I just kind of promote it. That's kind of how I would say that. Sorry, guys. Where the answer lies, no idea what you're talking about.
You know, I see a question that I don't want to overstep my boundaries here, but in terms of what was the most difficult character to adapt, it's not a character it's not a character that I touched, but I have heard that the most challenging character to adapt was probably Cenozoic Blue, because it's just all made up. There's nothing to work with. Because
the movie.
What does he do? He doesn't even he technically doesn't even show up in the movie.
Yeah, because he's not technically Billy from the film, right?
Yeah.
So there's no final list of creators to kind of go to that question. It's going to be a rolling basis. When I said like the only way we'd say like a hard no, it's like if you don't hear back, that doesn't mean it's a no. We're going to be constantly reevaluating people at different times throughout the program. So that's a quick one. My favorite Power Rangers and favorite seasons. Brian, do you have an answer for that?
No.
Okay, he's too busy getting beat up probably. For me, my favorite Ranger, I think for some reason, I've never known why. I just really like the design of the Magnum Defender, and I think also because he kind of has like a Gunblade kind of thing going on, and as a big Final Fantasy weeb, anyone with a Gunblade I think just appeals to me. So that's probably my favorite Ranger. It's weird that I don't play him that much in Balance of the Grid, honestly, because I'm like bad enough that I would just choose like the Rangers I like rather than like who's good for me. My favorite season, I'm a big fan of In Space. That was like the last one that I really was into as a kid and holds like a special place in my heart, right? It was like really, I think they had perfected the serialized storytelling format. I think even as a kid, I thought Turbo was kind of a letdown. And it was also the first season that I definitely remember my parents just like letting me watch for that reservation as a kid. Like I definitely grew up in one of those houses that was like, I don't know about that show where people are beating people up on TV. I mean, you're like 8 years old, but that might still be a bit too much in live action. It's a different time. But yeah, definitely a fondness for In Space and Magnum Defender. What else we got here?
So really quick, before you answer the next question, I just wanted to go back to what you guys were talking about, Cenozoic Blue. Let me tell you something. That character is nice. And with how you guys handled Cenozoic Blue, because recently we actually just did watch the 2017 movie in the server as like a community night type thing. And when Billy came on the screen, obviously in suit, you guys actually did get his kicks in there. So when he did it in the movie, we were like, oh, that's the kicks right there. So everything else was pretty. I remember thinking back to around that time when the Cenozoic Blue Ranger was announced, but wasn't in the game yet. I remember like everyone was scrambling, trying to figure out, probably just like you guys were like, what the hell could this character do? And so the first thing we did was we actually looked at Legacy Wars, and we figured, we're like, okay, maybe he's gonna have some lightning or something like that. And then by the time he came out, he was one of the sickest characters. Matter of fact, to this day, I still think that Cenozoic Blue is one of the most entertaining characters to watch, especially when you get someone like, I don't know, like TK. He's a consistent top 8 player. The men, representing the men. He's out here, and he's always rocking Cenozoic Blue. So that's a very fun character to watch. So with that kind of a character, you guys have definitely shown off how good you guys are at providing characters for us to enjoy to play and watch. So good ups on that.
He just puts up them dukes. He just dashes in your face and puts up them dukes, and then sometimes does lightning.
Well, I remember he used to have a limb problem, but now he's all right, I guess. The stubby arms.
Those little Tyrannosaurus arms.
Mm-hmm.
I just saw a question that I wanted to answer. That was a bit earlier in the chat, but then I lost it. One second.
Mm-hmm.
Where'd it go? Come on.
A lot of you guys are smart, and you're highlighting them. That's actually very good.
Yeah, some of the earlier questions didn't get highlighted, which is why I'm having struggle finding this one.
Kian, do you know what Magna Defender is fighting for?
Oh god, I'm not even touching this.
I would say I have no idea what he's fighting for.
I can
That's
tell
what
you.
I would say.
Go on. I'm trying to find my question still. What is Magna Defender fighting
The
for?
funny thing is, that's Mike. He's not really fighting for nothing. I mean, he could technically be fighting for his brother Leo, who's not obviously nowhere near the game, but that's an original Magna Defender line. That he's fighting for Zika.
That's the original Defender's child. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
I can't remember their name. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Who can say? The question I thought is like, any thoughts of adding a character gallery with bios? I don't know if that's ever been discussed. I mean, I think that'd be a neat feature, right? But again, it's kind of like, where do the team's priorities lie? Like that's a nifty feature, like a jukebox, like additive, but it's maybe not to the core gameplay experience. So I don't know that that would be a thing that's likely to happen, but it would be cool. I don't know if it's been discussed previously though. GJ is not confirmed, no. And I would toss your salad if you ask if any characters are confirmed based on my silly jokes. Isaac is out here talking some trash, it looks like.
He is.
Other questions? I don't know what's going on. Mega Black snitching on either one of us.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, man.
If he has, I don't know about it.
Yeah. I don't pay attention to people who are snitching. What's the possibility of getting a 3 people versus 3 people mode like in TBFC? I don't know that that's ever been talked about. I would say probably not likely. I mean, that's like the party modes and stuff in Dragon Ball FighterZ, like the raid mode, like all that stuff is pretty cool. But I don't think that that's a feature that's going to be happening anytime soon.
From a technical standpoint, I'm wondering if maybe one of the challenges is that the very fast-paced nature of tagging in the game. I don't know how that would. I don't know how that would interact with needing to change which inputs to prioritize and which ones not to. Or you could just prioritize all 6 players' inputs at the same time. But I don't know if... That would certainly provide a lot of unique challenges.
Yeah.
But it would be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it would be super interesting to see. I mean, you know, Power Rangers is not one person controlling all the Rangers in the actual fights. So if you had like an actual Ranger team, you know, that could be pretty cool. What do you look for when it comes to voice actors and characters? So I'm obviously not our sound designer. I think Tony could probably speak to that better.
Is Tony here? Where's Tony?
Shout out to Tony.
Is Tony in the chat?
I don't know. Tony's in Florida as well, so like it's almost 10 o'clock at night here. Maybe he's got better things to do. Who knows? I don't know. I think one thing that is important is like, if possible, like, can we get the actual actor? I don't know. I mean, I hope Tony doesn't have better things to do personally, but maybe, you know, you never know. I don't know his life. Like, again, authenticity important. Like, right? If we had the opportunity to get a voice actor from the show, let's go with that one, right? Where we can't do that, I think it's like, who can capture like a voice that still makes sense for this character, right? Like, I don't know that my voice would be good for like a Zed person, like Zed, right? But like, if we had someone who could do like a deeper, gnarlier voice or something, get those Rangers. Like maybe we would go for someone who can kind of capture that spirit, right? But like, if we can get someone like Kerrigan to voice Goldar in the game, like, we're gonna go with that. Will the Kimberly skin ever be made available for purchase separately from the deluxe edition? There are no plans to make those skins available for purchase separately from the deluxe edition right now. I'm sorry. I know I get asked this question a lot about Green Ranger V2, and you know, that answer is still the same. Which Megazord or villain are you hoping will be added next? I mean, it's kind of weird for me to answer a question like that, so I'm not going to. Because for me, it's not about hope. It's about what is or isn't happening in the future. I don't know the answer to that, Isaac.
You know, it really pains me, because I really want to say what Zord I hope gets in, but you know, it's.
But he knows I'll toss your salad if you say anything, Brian.
Yeah,
I'm out here talking stuff.
Man, I already. I know what Zord I want.
Cut you off right there. I'm gonna mute your microphone. Were the first 3 DLC characters that came out intended to be part of the original launch roster? I truthfully do not know the answer to that. I wish I did, though. That would be a great answer to have. Because as you're aware, the game launched in 9. We added 3 in for free pretty soon after. I believe that was Dragon Armor Trini, Cenozoic Blue, and Udana from Mystic Force. Yeah, I'm not sure if they were originally intended for launch, or if they were just like going to be a paid DLC pack that was kind of free. Was it a priority for the game having crossplay between all systems and to have rollback from the start? I don't know if that was from the start, but I know that a desire for good net code was an important thing. And I think the moment that was an opportunity that could be, that we had the opportunity to achieve that, we took it.
Yeah, the opportunity for crossplay, because things started opening up around that time, and nWay really wanted to be the first fighting game to be crossplay between all platforms, including PS4. Phantasy Strike kind of beat it to the punch technically, except that doesn't have an Xbox version, so we still win, Serlin.
Bet.
We got you.
We'll take that.
Oh.
Oh.
All right. Let's see. Okay.
So one other. So as far as the question about the character, the 9 versus the 12 at launch intention, I can tell you right now. Now, obviously, Ken, you weren't around at this time, but I do remember that it's like the second that initial teaser trailer dropped, there was an article that came after, and in that article, it did say I can't remember if the number was 12 or 15, but it definitely wasn't 9.
So there's a higher number, so you're reading between the lines there. Gotcha.
Yeah, cause I'm just speaking off memory, and then once the game obviously came out, then some different things were said. So that the question I was asked is a pretty valid question as to exactly what was going on. I suppose.
Yeah, no, I get that, because I mean, a lot happens in game development. Game development is difficult. Nothing's ever easy, but sometimes post-release content comes fast, and you gotta wonder, right?
The launch stage of Battle for the Grid was a chaotic time. Maybe someday we'll have a tell-all documentary.
That'd be cool.
Actually,
keep that in our back pocket, maybe.
That'd be cool.
So I know we want to get to Jeopardy at some point, but one question I did see come in here from Anime Boys.
That's a good username.
I for boy.
Man,
who is our personal favorite character in Battle for the Grid? Brian, you want to tackle that one first?
See, ask me again in a few months.
Oh.
Right now it's just, spring is arriving. Brian's feeling very different.
Yeah, I'm just not feeling it. I'm just not feeling it. I don't want to.
So
let me clear up these allergies a little bit.
So we can get. So I'm gonna get you guys back on here then for another episode of this.
Yeah, let's see how Brian's feeling in the summer.
Yeah,
Maybe we'll find
ask me in a few months, okay?
For me, I mean, I love my doggy. I love doggy. I do love Quantum as well. And honestly, RJ is pretty fun too. So those are some of mine. They're more recent characters, but also like from the original roster, really enjoy Jason, Tommy, kind of your basic more Ryu and Ken style stuff. And Lord Zed is a fun character as well. I really like.
RJ is weird. He's like both more and less busted than people think he is.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's a really weird spot.
It's kind of ridiculous.
Like he's busted in the ways that people might not really recognize, but then people are kind of overrating him in some others. I like from tournament footage I've seen and matches that I've played. I don't think people are quite using him to really his strengths, because like they just see him, they're just like, yo, look at that damage output, I'm just gonna kill him. Nah, he's more than that.
Wow.
I'm watching you.
So
he's
you're
more than that.
So you're saying RJ is worse than what we already feel like he is.
But he's better in other ways.
Oh.
He's better in other ways
that
people aren't utilizing.
Got it.
Interesting. Favorite pizza topping? Bananas, obviously.
But what?
My favorite pizza topping? Oh, dude, you have not lived until you have tried mayo corn pizza. Just saying.
Mayo corn?
Mayo
corn. One thing I learned
pizza.
about Brian yesterday is he has some interesting.
Don't.
Yo.
He wants to take that secret to the grave. All right, well, we will let him take that secret to the grave. One other question we got here. Want to be mindful of our time. I'm not even commenting on that Chicago deep dish comment. I do think we may unfortunately need to ban MechWarrior Xbox from the stream for inappropriate comments about pizza.
I would more say like Chicago. I would channel like my inner clickbait journalism and say Chicago deep dish is not a pizza. Here's why that's okay. Here's why that's a good thing. It's better than pizza.
Oh, okay, nice. I like the flip there, the twist. There you go. I'm still not gonna get over the fact that you said corn mayo. What is? I've never even heard of that.
Mayonnaise and corn on a pizza. Okay.
Yo, did you watch a lot of Turtles back in the day? Cause they be putting anything on their pizza.
No. A few years ago, when I visited Japan, I had mayonnaise and corn on a pizza, and I'm just like, where has this been all my life?
Over there, for good reason, I guess. Oh my god.
Okay.
TMNT pizza. Interesting. I don't. Do we want to pivot into Jeopardy now, or do we have a few more?
Pivot into
Yeah,
anything
no.
except for pizza.
If you want, I can bring in the guys. We can get this Jeopardy thing going. Unless you want to answer a couple more, it's up to you.
What do you think, Brian? Are you still in the fighting mood, or do you want to like show off some of your knowledge?
Bro, I can do both at the same time, since most of the time I'll just be waiting in the queue because I don't like to be rude.
Fair point.
Okay.
Let's see. All right, I want to see if we get some interesting questions here. So, which Zord system do you guys prefer? One Zord per game or the current? Brian, what about you?
I like the current system because it's way dumber and funnier.
Alright.
There's more opportunities for things to be hilarious.
Yeah, I definitely like the kind of excitement and like chaos that kind of comes about being able to use them multiple times as you build a demi or
And understanding understanding when you need to have the 2-bar and when you need to have the 3-bar, as well as how often you should use alpha counters. it adds a really nice layer of strategy and another like learning curve to it.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's fun just seeing the Megazords come out all the time. Even if we just go back to like being a scrub like me, it's just fun to get like that Dragon Zord come back the second time in match because I'm desperate and it's like my last ditch effort. My favorite player is Mega Isaac X.
Oh
No, come on, don't give me that.
He was fishing for a compliment. I'll give it to him.
My favorite player is Evasion.
Oh wow, you hear that, Isaac? MechWarrior Xbox, you were banned from the chat for your comments, so unfortunately I can't acknowledge your question.
Shout out to the box.
Has there ever been consideration for adding Sentai voices to the characters? I think it's pretty easy to answer this with like a no. This is a Power Rangers game, not a Super Sentai game. Obviously, Super Sentai has inspired Power Rangers, right? The footage comes from that, but this is not a Sentai game. This is a Power Rangers game, and I think it's important to kind of understand that delineation because we're not making a Sentai game. We're making a Power Rangers game, so it wouldn't make sense to have those voices. But yeah, I think at this stage, there's been a lot of great questions, a lot of funny ones, a lot of just cool comments about pizza and toppings, and a lot of swords here, Shogun swords. Not surprised. A lot of passion for the fighting edition. Yeah, I think it's Jeopardy time.
All right.
It's Jeopardy time. I don't have a morpher, so I can't actually do the bit. But
I got two
let's
right
get
here.
it. You want to toss me one? I don't think that would work, but